Hello you guys, and welcome back to another Wicked Wednesday. Hopefully by the time you guys see this, life will be returned back to normal, but I highly doubt it. I just hope everyone's doing good. So today, if you haven't watched last week's video, you can watch it before or after this one, but you should totally watch it. It is the history on the Cosmopolitan Hotel in Old Town San Diego, and today I'm talking about some maybe paranormal experiences that I had in Old Town. Two of them were at the Cosmopolitan. One of them was maybe a mile up the road. I don't remember what the building was called, but I'll get into that. But if you guys like this kind of stuff, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment down below if you haven't experienced anything in Old Town. There's a lot going on there. Let me know. And yeah, let's get into it. So I only have 3 stories. They're kind of fast. The first one's a little bit longer. It takes the backstory. The next 2 all happened in the same night. Not much of a backstory. But I will go ahead and get started. If you do ever visit San Diego, or if you have any experiences in Old Town, I would love to hear about it. Leave them down below. I live for it. And if you guys know anything about me, we're starting on the backstory for story number 1. So this one happened in 2012. And one thing that my family likes to do and what I really love to do is ghost tours. Now, it's not necessarily doing ghost tours because we want to see ghosts. That's honestly 100% telling you guys the truth. That is not the reason I do ghost tours. I do them because I think they're fun. I love learning the history of places, and honestly sometimes museums and those kinds of things are a little too formal and a little too on the surface. When you go on ghost tours, I highly recommend doing them, not necessarily for the spooky factor, but for the history factor. You are really learning more about individual people and their daily lives and all of these little stories intertwined with the history of the city. And I feel like you just get more out of it than just learning that surface level history. You really get to dive into how these people lived and hearing all of these other stories, and it's just that is what originally got me into ghosts and the paranormal as a child, was because I loved learning about the history of places, and ghosts were a fun way to learn about that. So this definitely, I'm pretty sure this was 2012. If I'm wrong, my mom will let me know. Am I wrong? So it was sometime around 2012, and my family went on a ghost tour. So we went to Old Town. I want to say it was my brother and I with my mom and dad, or it was my friend Rebecca and I. I think it was my brother and I. And we went on the walking ghost tour. If you've been to San Diego, you know which one I'm talking about. It meets right in front of the restaurants at that little billboard they have there. And we went on that. It takes you on I've been on it twice, and it takes you on different locations both times. I think it just depends on what's available and how the guy's doing it. But he was telling us all these ghost stories, and we were having a really good time learning a lot of history, some really cool stories. And we went into the Cosmopolitan. We went into a couple of other buildings. We went to the Whaley House. We didn't go into the Whaley House, but we went on the property and like around the back and all of those things. Sorry, we had a cat disturbance. So through all of these things, and I am what I consider a healthy skeptic. To somebody's face, if someone's telling me a ghost story, I'm not going to laugh in their face and tell them that they're lying to me, because I would be offended if somebody did that to me. But I do go into some of these stories knowing that the tour guide does have to kind of beef them up a little bit and make it a little scarier, because that's the thrill of it. Some people do take these tours in hopes of finding a ghost. So yeah, I always keep that in mind on these types of situations. But we finished at the Whaley House, and then we went to the cemetery. And the cemetery definitely is spooky, but I also find cemeteries to be really peaceful. Graves don't freak me out. I just think they're very calm and peaceful places. I've actually never been in a cemetery that freaks me out. And we left the cemetery. I don't know what building this was. I'm going to do some research, see if I can find it. If you guys, if this rings a bell for one of you, please let me know, because I always am trying to figure out where it was, and I just can't. But we went down this like side road off of the main strip, and there's like this little chapel back there, a little white building, and I think it had a red roof. I want to say like a red adobe roof, not adobe, but like red clay roof, with like a wrought iron fence around it. And we went into the building. It's a short fence too, like waist height. And we went into the property, not the building, and we went around the back. And the guy was telling us the story. I honestly don't even remember the story. I remember the gist that somebody is buried in there, and there's like kind of a shrine-like thing in there for them. And they had the light turned on for the inside so you can look in. And one by one, we were all going up to the building and looking in. And like I said, I don't even remember the story because I don't think it was scary. I think it was just kind of like a history thing that he was teaching us. Like, oh, this person's buried here. But we all went up to the window one by one, and we're just looking at it, going through. Some people were taking their time looking in, and it was finally my turn. I wasn't scared at all. Like, I'm a little jumpy. I'm a little, I'll give you guys that much. But I wasn't freaked out. So I go up to the window, I look in, and I didn't see anything except for like this beautiful building and like the shrine-like thing in there. And I just remember this pure feeling, like from my head to my toes, my hands started to tingle. I had this feeling of pure and absolute dread. I needed to get out of there. And I go back, and at this point in my life, I had had anxiety attacks before. And I started to realize, oh, I'm about to have an anxiety attack. Like, this is happening. And I go and stand over by my parents, and my mom knew something was wrong. She was like, what's going on? There's something wrong here. She didn't say that, but like, there's something going on. And so I kind of was like letting her know, like, I'm not okay. I'm having a panic attack. I don't know what's wrong. At the time, I didn't connect it to what was happening in that building. And I was like, what the hell? Like, I am not okay. This entire tour, we've gone on like some, what should have been much scarier places. And I just could not control it at that point. Normally, usually I can try and like suppress anxiety attacks. Sometimes I absolutely cannot, but at this point I couldn't. And my parents were like, okay, let's just step away from the crowd. Maybe the crowd is creating this, or let's get you away and calm you down because we're in a crowd of people. We don't need to freak anybody out. I don't know what was going through their head at that time. I just remember them being like, let's go out front. And I think my mom went out front with me while everyone, because we didn't want to freak the group out or anything. We just wanted to step away and then join back when I was okay. And we went back around the building. We walked out the gate, and I'm like shaking, crying, like not okay at all. We step out the gate, and I'm fine. I am completely fine. The second we get out on the sidewalk, I am fine. I cannot even, like, I will say it again. We left the gate. We were in the gate. I was panicking. We left the gate. I was fine. Completely fine. I don't know what happened. I don't remember anything freaking me out prior. I don't remember there being a trigger. Now as an adult, for the most part, I know what my triggers are. Sometimes I have them just out of the blue, but that's pretty rare, and I know when they're coming on. Looking back, I don't, none of the signs were there, none of the triggers were there, so I really don't know what caused it. And then, so that was the experience in itself, and that one I'm kind of 50-50 on. And later on, Aaron and I were, I think, dating at the time, and we went there, and I took him back, and the gate was locked at the time, so we didn't go there, but you can walk around the gate and towards the back of the building. And I was telling him the story, and we were kind of maybe like 5, 6 feet away from the wall itself, like the gate itself. And I was fine. I was a little freaked out because we were back there and it was dark and I was reliving this moment. And then, but I felt safe. Like, I felt safe with him. I was there. We were fine. And then I, like, started to approach the building again, like, trying to see, like, yeah, like, kind of reliving it a little bit more, calming myself down. And then, like, all of a sudden that dread feeling comes again, and I was like, we need to leave. That's probably just me freaking out because of what happened there. I just had a bad memory. So yeah, that was number 1. Number 2 and 3 happened on the same night. And I had been to Old Town multiple times between that first time and this last time that I went. So yeah, that was my first time at Old Town and my last time at Old Town. I had experiences. And so we were also on a ghost tour. Aaron had never been on one, so I took him on one. My mom bought us tickets and we went on with the same tour guide. And keep in mind, he and I are both on different parts of the scale of do ghosts or do ghosts not exist, and the skeptical side of things. And we both went into it for the history. And we knew the guy was cheesing it up because you got it. And we go through all the things. We go through all these different buildings. We go to the front of the Whaley house. He does the, what is it? Not the portal, but where you put your hands out and he says that you're feeling the vortex. The magnetic fields and all of that stuff. And that's not a natural position for humans. I will say it a million times. That's why your hands tingle, because people don't do this regularly. But we went on. We went to the cemetery. And then, and it was fun. We were having a good time. And then we go to the Cosmopolitan. And so that is where we were ending the tour. That was the time. This was the only time I've ever been there at night. I've been there in the daytime before. I've been in the courtyard before. And this is the first time I'd been there at night. And the guy was like, okay, well, we're going to end the tour at the Cosmopolitan. But first, everybody come here, wait here. I'm going to go get my iPad out of the car so he could show us, like, his photos because he had his big iPad. And there's an outside bathroom in the courtyard. So everybody's sitting there, and I guess I'm the only one who had to go to the bathroom. And I was like, okay, babe, I'm going to run into the restroom real quickly. He has to run to his car. I have plenty of time. So I run into the bathroom. And so there's a men's and a women's. It's a public bathroom. And nobody else is in there. And I'm totally chill. Like, not scared at all. I've been to Old Town multiple times. I've been to Old Town at night before. San Diego just doesn't scare me for some reason. And, which it should. I'm a young girl, a youngish girl, out sometimes by myself. I should be a little more scared of my surroundings out there, but for some reason, not really. Escondido scares me. San Diego, not so much. But I go into the bathroom, and then I sit down, and I'm doing my thing, and that dread feeling comes back over me, and I was like, oh, I need to get out of here. I feel like I'm being watched. And it wasn't just dread this time. It was that I am being watched. Somebody is looking at me. And there was nobody there. I was looking around. I honestly was more expectant to see a homeless person in there, even though I don't think they would have been in the courtyard in the public bathroom. But I was like, oh, there's like a homeless person or something in here. Like, there's somebody in here with me and they're watching me and I'm uncomfortable. And, so I finished up, pulled my pants up, ran, washed my hands really quickly, like, not as much as I should have, to be completely honest. And I, like, ran out. And then I got out of the door and I saw everyone. And I was like, okay, I'm fine. And so I walked down the ramp, and they kind of, like, had gone a little bit ahead of me, but I could see them all. And my husband's there with me, and then we're standing there. And this just kind of was like, I don't know if the guy said it because he wanted to spook me out, or if he saw, like, that look of fear on my face when I came out of the bathroom. But I go up and I stand next to Aaron, and he's kind of telling a little bit of stories while we're out there. And I'm standing next to Aaron, and then like we're getting ready to go in. And I said to Aaron, I was like, oh, the bathroom is really creepy. Like, I said it so quietly. And the guy was talking, looking in the other direction. And then Aaron and I are the last ones to go in. And the tour guide is holding the door open. And then he goes, hey, how was the bathroom? I'm like, that's a fucking weird question to ask someone. And then I realized what he was asking me. And I was like, oh, it's spooky. Like, and it was weird. It was very weird. I can't even, like, if you know that feeling, you know the feeling. But if you know the feeling, like, you know exactly what I'm talking about, that feeling of being watched, and that just, like, I need to get out of here, danger, 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 danger moment. And so, yeah, and then the same night, we're in the Cosmopolitan, and we go into the bar. If I can insert a photo of the bar here, I will. We're all sitting there, and he's telling us these stories, and honestly, I got a little bit annoyed with the guy at this point. Very, very nice guy. And again, I will always go back to, they need to cheese it up a little bit, because that's what people are there for. And he's telling all these stories about how he's saying that there's a boy in there, and that he's there with us right now. And these two girls are just eating it up. And Aaron and I are kind of like, okay, whatever. Like, it's late. We just want to see the Cosmopolitan and then go home. And because we still had to drive back to Oceanside where we lived, which was like 45 minutes away. And we kind of go off on our own. We're walking through like just the downstairs area. We couldn't go upstairs because people were actually staying there. And we go into the dining hall. We're taking photos with flash. Like, I just am kind of like, Aaron and I tried to like break away from the group and just go into like the quiet and just exist like in the space. And it's a really cool place to be. You can definitely feel the history in the building itself, which is really cool, and something I recommend everybody experience at some point in their lives. Not necessarily at the Cosmopolitan, it'd be really cool, but like experiencing history is cool. And so the tour is coming to an end, and he calls us all back into the bar area. I'm sitting on a bar stool. I'm at the end, and Aaron's next to me on this side. And then there's everybody, and then the guy is on like kind of like the far area of the bar. And he's telling the stories and going on. Probably talked for about 10 minutes. And I'm sitting there just kind of with my arms in my lap. I'm sitting at the bar stool. And all of a sudden, I'm like I just had this kind of like feeling. I was like, oh, like kind of like a weird feeling on my shirt. And then the only way I can describe what I felt was when your mother is mad at you in public and she doesn't want to make a scene, and she grabs the back of your elbow, like right here, and she squeezes. And she whispers in your ear about how angry she is. That is the feeling that I felt. And it was like, my mother was holding onto the back of my elbow. And I was sitting there, and I thought I was going to cry. Like, I wasn't having a panic attack, but I was like, oh, I am feeling this right now, and this is very, very real. And Aaron didn't believe me because I told him what was happening at that moment. And I moved my arm, and I still felt it. It maybe lasted maybe like 45 seconds. And then it stopped. It all just completely stopped. And this one kind of really freaks me out. And so the tour comes to an end, and then we all go home. And then the next day, I was like, I completely forgot about what happened. And then my elbow started to hurt. And I was like, man, like that feels really like tender, like right here in this like fatty portion. Like I was like, man, this like, it was this arm. I was like, that feels really tender right there. What happened? And then I started feeling this like burning, like right there, like right like the skin itself was tender. It felt like it was bruised, and then it felt like I was having like this burning sensation right here, and it just kind of got worse, and then the burning stopped. And then come Monday, I went into work and I was like, that still really hurts. And I hadn't put it together yet. And then I'm sitting there talking with my friend, and Mercs TV, she's here on YouTube. You should go follow her. And I told her about it, and I was like, and then it clicked. I was like, oh my God, like, that's what happened in the Cosmopolitan, and then this is what's happening to my arm. So yeah, that's my ghost story. That anticlimactic, but there was definitely like a little bruising right here, and I felt it. It was so real and unlike anything I'd ever felt before. And Aaron doesn't believe me that it happened. Some of you guys probably won't believe me that it happened either and think that I'm a lunatic, but I know what I felt. It was weird, and that was probably like, besides actually seeing things fall off a shelf in my house and actually seeing a being in one of my houses, that was up there. That was definitely up there with the, what the freaking frack is going on? Who is touching my arm right now? Do I think it was the little boy? I don't really think so, because that felt like a parent grabbing your arm. And like, oh, it was just, oh, I hate the feeling. Oh, just thinking about it just freaks me out. But yeah, so this video is getting a little long, so I am going to let you guys go. I hope you guys have a fantastic time. If you guys have any ghost stories, don't forget to leave them down below. I hope you guys are staying safe and healthy and are just staying sane during everything that's going on right now. And I hope you stay spooky.